In a hollow below the rocky summit of Mount Borah lies a sizable lake that on most maps remains unnamed. It had long been my ambition to visit this lake and ascertain whether any fish dwelt therein. Thus it was that late afternoon on the 6th of September, the year of our Lord 2018, found me at the helm of my trusty Ford Ranger, toiling up the roughest road that I have yet to encounter in backcountry Idaho towards the headwaters of the Pissimiroy River. My wife, in the passenger seat, expressed concern that by the time we reached our destination, our insides might be turned to jelly by the jarring sensation created by the wheels of the truck bounding over rock after innumerable rock. Nevertheless, we reached the minimally improved Forest Service campground on the west fork of the Upper Pissimiroy with most of our vital organs still fully intact. After hurriedly erecting the tent in the lengthening shadows of evening, we made camp there for the night. The morning of September 7th dawned clear and cool, and after a simple breakfast of cold muffins, we struck out across country in a westward direction, following a small stream that flowed into the Pissimiroy near our campsite. We hiked steadily up the watercourse most of the morning, eventually emerging around noon at a small, shallow lake. Its waters were teal in color and yet crystal clear, wherefore we decided to christen the pool Crysteel Lake, and there we paused for lunch before pressing on. Though picturesque, Crysteel Lake afforded no habitat for trout due to its shallow depth. Skirting around a low ridge to the north of Crysteel Lake and pressing on westward, we soon found ourselves in a canyon with imposing stone walls, above which the crown of Borah Peak was visible beyond the head of the canyon. Ascending a steep talus slope at the head of the canyon, we soon came in sight of our quarry. Borah Lake, as I shall call it, lay like a shadowy emerald in a deep basin beneath the peak. Even this late in the year, the upper slopes around the lake were adorned with lingering patches of snow, and runoff from these melting snow piles created a pair of waterfalls that cascaded over a band of cliffs on the far side of the lake. The lake had every indication of great depth, but at this elevation, and with its inlet and outlet largely subterranean, perhaps it was too sterile to support a fish population. I attempted to fish it for the better part of an hour, during which time I saw no indication of piscine life within its depths. On our return trip, we followed the outlet of Borah Lake for some distance before eventually cutting over to the watercourse we had followed on our way in. At one point, we came upon a herd of elk, which, startled by our presence, took flight into the surrounding forest with a clatter of hooves on the stony ground. Off-trail hiking has a way of extending distances, as the most readily traversable route between any 2 points in rough country is almost never a straight line. By way of illustration, the straight-line distance between Borah Lake and our campsite measured only about 2.5 miles, according to our map, for a round-trip distance of about 5 miles. But the GPS that we carried with us and that tracked our route indicated we had hiked slightly more than 12 miles by the time we returned to camp. Though Borah Lake does not seem to offer any potential for fishing, it remains a fine example of the rugged grandeur of backcountry Idaho.